Well, joining us now to discuss the upcoming elections is Dr. Okwi Okpala. He's an African Affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us in the studios.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yes, sir. Well, on Wednesday, at the height of COVID-19 pandemic, Burundi is going to choose another leader. How do you see this playing out?
Well, it's an opportunity for a new beginning, but it also presents risks.
Yes.
An opportunity to break away from the authoritarian regime that have ruled Burundi for 15 years now, after 12 years civil war. But there are two risks. One is the risk of violence, because, well, the two candidates are ex-rebel leaders. Yeah. And again, both of them, especially the opposition that is not from the ruling party, is particularly popular. And both candidates have been promising their supporters that they are going to, they're assuring them of victory. So what is the likelihood of the election not satisfying both candidates is very high, which may lead to violence. And, one will not forget what happened before the Civil War that made almost 300,000 people, in which 300,000 people perished. Yeah. Then the other risk is the risk of spike in COVID-19 cases. Because during this time, campaigning has been going on, there have been mass gathering, and then both the government and the parties have ignored social distancing, and people are mingling and all that. So it also presents a risk of a huge spike in COVID-19 cases. So in as much as there are opportunities, we have to look at these two risks.
Indeed, and last week the government even expelled, the World Health Organization team in the country. They were accusing them of unacceptable interference. Could it be that the government is, trying to cover up the true extent of the outbreak as they are ignoring all the social distancing rules?
Well, I don't think it's more of covering up the case of, well, that may be part of it, but it may be a subsidiary reason. I think the main reason is not to have any independent person commenting on the election, speaking about the election, and things that may go wrong during this election. Mm-hmm. Remember also that the foreign journalists have been asked not to report from Burundi. Yeah. Also, even the foreign observers have been asked not to come close. And if you come, you'll be quarantined for 14 days and all that. They've been discouraged. True. So, in other words, every person that cannot be controlled by government, they want them out until they do what they want to do. And that's why, I think the whole essence is not necessarily whether they will comment, whether they have more cases or not, few cases or many cases. I think it was more of the political agenda that they want to protect what they want to do, and they don't want the wrong message to be sent out with evidence, with data.
All right, so now 7 candidates are vying for the presidential seat. President Nkurunziza is actually backing a former retired army general. Do you think this could give Evariste, the upper hand against the other 6 candidates?
Obviously, it will give him some advantage, but that advantage is not in terms of popularity. Yeah, okay. It's not in terms of popular votes, okay, but in terms of skewing the forces that will control the election in favor of the party's candidate. Because, the government of Nkurunziza have always used suppression, mass arrest of opposition, and then election fraud, and intimidation to, as a political tool. So, and I don't think it will be different now. So, and if a government that controls cohesive forces is supporting a candidate, these are the kind of things he will lend to that candidate that will give the advantage. Not necessarily that he's so popular that he will wave. In fact, a number, if it were to be election, one man, one vote, no intimidation, no influence, I think people who may not want supporting that candidate may be a liability.
All right, just finally, the country is about to lose its president of 15 years, but recently he was given the the acronym, the Supreme Guide to Patriotism. That's President Nkurunziza, according to the official title. Now, that's what he will be given once he steps down, the Supreme Guide to Patriotism. What does this mean for the political future, of the country? Because regardless of who wins, President Nkurunziza is now like the supreme leader, so to speak.
Well, I think most leaders, especially African leaders, will want to keep controlling things in or out of office. They want to remain in power. But whether they, but history has taught us that it doesn't always pan out like that. In Angola, the Santos campaign, handpicked the successor. But when now, well, after that, even the children are being prosecuted, are being investigated and all that. So he will desire to remain in control, but he may not control all the forces after he leaves office. So that may be what he wants, that way what he will plan for himself, but how it turns out is likely going to be different.
All right, we'll just have to wait and see how all that pans out. Dr. Okwi Okpala, African Affairs Analyst, thank you for speaking to us today.
It's always my pleasure.